Welcome to today's episode of Between Neens and Deens. My name is Nina, and I'm joined by my best friend, partner, and baby daddy, Dayon.
And together, we're a couple of 20-something-year-olds just trying to navigate this whole first-time parenting thing.
So we're laying it all out there and talking about all the things you wish your parents told you about love, sex, and happiness.
Do you remember what it was like being single?
I mean, yeah, it was like a long time ago, but it's like 2.5+ years now.
For me, it was even longer.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
You're like a serial
5
monogamist.
Years? Oh my goodness.
I mean, you have like periods where you're single, but for the most part of your adult life, I feel like you've been in a relationship.
I think the longest I've been single is like 2 years consecutively.
And the thing is, like, that's probably shorter than most people's drought.
Jesus.
Like, I feel like people don't have sex for like longer than that sometimes.
Yeah,
and that's just like your total
but being single
timeline
is
of
not,
being
yeah.
single.
Me
Yeah.
being single was not me not having sex. So.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's a very
I mean,
different
that's
type
like,
of single.
yeah, it's just like not being in like an actual relationship.
Well, like, okay, I'll ask you then, do you miss being single?
Oh man. You know what? There are times where I do like miss it. There's like something about it that seems like kind of fun. You know what I mean?
Well, it is fun.
Yeah, and like sometimes when I see like our single friends, I'm like, those are the days, man.
Is it just, are you just romanticizing it? Like, are you seeing it through rose-colored glasses? Because it's not all fun.
I know. But yeah, I think a part of it, just because like we all like something that's different than the current state that we're in sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you like that kind of like, something new, something fresh.
It's whatever you don't have.
Exactly, yeah. But like I'm so happy in our relationship and I wouldn't change it. But there are times where it's like, where I reminisce on the times when I was single and I'm like, that was actually mad fun.
What about it?
Just like the freedom to kind of
yeah,
the freedom to do whatever you want. It's
yeah.
like it's like you don't have to like worry about the other person because there is no other person. You just worry about yourself and what you want to do. So
you don't worry about somebody else's emotions, someone else's timeline, someone else's schedule.
Exactly. It was literally like play basketball whenever I want, meet up with friends whenever I want, text whoever I want, hook up with whoever I want. It really didn't have like it almost felt like there was no rules and yeah.
I mean, in our relationship, there aren't even that many rules either. So
no, I know. That's why it's an amazing relationship. That's why I feel blessed. But I'm saying like in regards to like other relationships as well, it was harder, but there are still things that I do miss.
I mean, that's fair. Like, I think that when I look back on being single, there are phases, you know, like I went through times where I absolutely hated it. And we did look at some articles about like how to know when you're okay with being single. And I can definitely call myself out. We'll go through some of them, but I can definitely call myself out on some unhealthy behaviors and like really not being cool with being single. But when I did get to a point where I was like, wait, like this is amazing. Like, and then I met you. And so then it's like, it really didn't last that long.
I ruined it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is that, like, I remember talking to one of my friends, and he's known me from when I, like, have chased guys and, like, really want to be in a relationship, really want to be tied down. And then kind of I've evolved. I, like, reached my next Pokemon level, and I was like, yo, like, I love sleeping alone. I love being single. And I remember when we met, I told him, like, hey, like, I met this guy, and he's, like, so great, and I, like, fell so quickly for you. And he was like, hey, like, but just remember how much you enjoyed being single. And I know he had good intentions and, like, at that point he hadn't met you yet. But, like, he was just like, hey, remember that, like, you were in a place where you were really happy with, like, where you were at, like, career-wise, like, mental health, emotionally, like, all these things. And, I mean, great to have friends that hold you accountable like that. But there definitely... It was definitely a learning curve to get to a place where I was like, I really enjoy this.
But sometimes I feel like that's what it comes down to is when you are like comfortable with being single, that's when you have like that more like you're in a happier place. And I think with that energy, it attracted me. And like I saw you and I was like,
that's the thing. People always show up when you're least expecting. Like every single time that I'd been single and I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. I don't want to be single. I just want someone to cuddle with. I want to have sex with somebody. But like I want to be in a relationship. That's when there's literally no guys.
Yeah.
Like nobody
it's when
nobody's around.
It's when you're not looking for it. That's when it shows up.
It literally, like, when we met, I was like, I was so happy. And at that point I was dating somebody, but it wasn't serious. And like I was so happy just like living my life very freely. And I had no intention of meeting somebody, having a serious relationship, and eventually falling in love. Like, I actually really didn't want to, because I was like, I'm so young and I have all this ahead of me. I have plans to move to LA, and it was just like the whole world was my oyster, and it was weird. Like getting into a relationship was amazing, but it also kind of felt like everything that I had planned for myself being just by myself and not having to think about anybody else, it kind of just went out the window. And it's not like I was sad at that time, but it's like thinking back to it now, it's kind of sad, you know.
That
but
might have been why your friend was a little bit concerned.
I think that is why, because I mean, obviously your friends are looking out for you and they want you to be happy, and it took so much work for me to get to that place where I was really happy with being alone. And like with the pressures of other people getting into relationships and like social media, I think social media did a big number on me. Like you just see people like with their cute couple, like me now, like we take so many couple pics and stuff.
We try not to post too much. We don't want to make y'all sick.
But I mean, but that's the thing, is that like it's never the full picture, you know? Like
yeah.
I would rather be alone and happy than be with somebody and miserable. And like I can think of so many people that are in relationships not happy, and it's like if you just took some time to yourself, like you would be so much happier. But it's just society, it tells us that we need to be with somebody in order to be happy.
Yeah, social media is like something you take with a grain of salt, just because like, I mean, what do you're not gonna post like how are you gonna post an argument, you know what I mean? Like how are you gonna post bad times? And
yeah, when we first started dating, like I kind of would share every now and then like what we would fight about, and actually it would be really fun to do a podcast episode about all the things we fight about, because we fight a lot, and that's like a normal healthy part of a relationship. And I mean, like obviously there's like a spectrum, but it's not all rainbows and butterflies, and like social media shows only rainbows and butterflies. I feel like we also have to acknowledge the difference between being single and like not dating, and single and dating and like hooking up, because for you, like, you were single, but, like, constantly hooking up and, like, dating people.
Yeah, I was not getting my life together at all.
Yeah, so it's, like, I feel like there are two different types of single, whereas for me, I feel like the sad chapter of my single life is me hooking up with people. And the happy chapter of my single life was me not really hooking up with people and just, like, spending time alone. And, like, I would take myself out to dinner by myself and like literally sit there and try to not be on my phone and just look at the things around me and like sit there with my thoughts.
Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, like it's really, really hard to do, but like I love taking myself out on dates. Like I would go on walks by myself. I would rollerblade by myself, like around like the seawall in Vancouver. And I honestly needed that time to like get to know myself. And I always say this, like when me and Dayon met, like we fell very hard, very fast. But had we met when I was like 18, 19, when I was a lot more insecure and didn't really know myself that well, then I really don't think that we would have worked out. Like both of us were in a place in our life where we weren't very aware of who we were as people. And so like we really would have crashed and burned. But like because I took the time to get to know who I was, what I wanted, what my standards were, and like things I will or won't compromise on, then like when I did meet somebody that could be my forever person, then I actually was the type of person that could keep him around. Because like that's the thing, is like your dream person could walk through the door right now, and if you aren't in a place in your life to be able to like communicate effectively and like, you know, actually like love yourself and love somebody else, then like you could lose that dream person. You know, like it's not really about meeting the right person, it's about meeting the right person at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's all about timing. And even with us, like, because we definitely weren't looking for it. I just got fresh out of a relationship. I wasn't trying to be in a relationship again. And we were both happy being single. And even like what you said, you wanted to go to LA. I wanted to move to Toronto. Like, I was so like focused on that. And I really wanted to go. That's
you
what
guys
I
can't see it, but I rolled because Dayon, he went to Toronto recently and was like, I want to move here. But I find it hard to believe that you were actually going to move to Toronto.
Because after I broke up.
Don't even lie to me. You were living at your parents' house still.
No, I'm not fucking with you. I'm dead serious. Like, I talked to my homegirl Jessie. She lives in Toronto. She listened to it and she's like, yo, you need to come here. I was literally saying like, yo, I need to do this. And I was like about to do it. And then I met you, and then now we're both stuck in Vancouver, so don't even at me right now.
I'm sorry.
Whatever, bro.
Your whole life
I can't do this,
plan.
man. Every single time we podcast, and y'all don't see the amount of eye rolls I get, and I have to live with it. There's nothing I can do, but it's all
And
good.
that's the thing. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. It's not.
It's rainbows and eye rolls.
But anyways, I feel like when I was single and really loving it, what I did find was that I was spending even more time with like my friends and like talking to my family and things like that. Because like at the end of the day, like being single can be really, really lonely, like especially if you really don't want to be single. But if you invest that time and energy that you would into a relationship, into your friendships, and like really nourishing those and like meeting new people, all of those things, that happiness is very equivalent, I think, to like the happiness that I feel in a relationship. Like when I'd hang out with my friends and like where acquaintances become like really good friends, like that type of love and happiness I think is like really, really similar. And I don't think that my friendships with some of my college friends would be as strong as they are today if I didn't take that time to be single, work on myself, and invest time and energy into my friendships. So like just because you're single doesn't mean that you don't have like a community, that you don't have like other relationships to invest in, because friendships are any other type of relationship. Like it takes work, like it takes time to like really nourish them. I wonder if you save more money when you're single or if you're in a relationship, because when I was in college I took a sex and relationship class and we talked about whether or not you save more money. And I feel like it's pretty equal.
Yeah,
because
really
because that's the thing, when you're single, okay, like if you're single and you're trying to like hook up with people, then you're going out to clubs, you're like buying drinks, you're like, well, like you're going out a lot more, I feel like. And when you're in a relationship, then you might be spending more money on food. Like when we first started dating, I mean, you spent all your money on food to feed both of us, because I was a broke college student at that point. And then like you might be buying them treats and like things like that. So it's like, gifts. Are you saving? Yeah, like, are you saving more money? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think that even if you're not saving money, like, I feel like being single, you might have more, like, awareness and time to think about your financial situation. Like, I definitely got my finances in order when I was single. And, like, when we got into a relationship, when we got into a relationship, it was like, oh, yeah, like, it will just, like, you don't think about money.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not a concern. You're just spending.
I guess the reason why I look back at being single as, like, such a fun time is because, like, I was always constantly focused on having a good time and, like, having fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't focus on saving money or anything like that. And, like, when I did have like random hookups, I still spent like a lot of money. Like I didn't care really like how far the person lived. I would pick them up and spend all that money on gas, and I was still like, even though there are like just hookups and maybe like a dinner every now and then, but I would still pay for like food and pay for stuff like that. So I did still spend a lot of money.
I definitely went on dates where actually it was a Bumble date. That's gonna be a great segue. Just wait, guys. But it was a Bumble date and it did not go as well as I'd hoped. And all my friends were like, Nina, why are you going on a date with this guy? But I was like, I'm single and I just want to like date and like meet new people. But he literally was like one of those beach DJs that would like DJ on Wreck Beach. I think he was also like working in the circus at the time. DJ. I don't know. But all my friends were like, Nina, no. But I was like, no, I'm going to go on this date. It's going to be great. But we went on the date. We did not vibe at all. The moment that I got there, I was like, no. And he wanted to pay for everything. But I was like, oh, I did not enjoy this date. I don't want to feel at all like this was a date. And so I was like insisting on paying my half. And he was like, no, it's fine. And I was like, no, it's okay. And then he was like, oh, like, do you want to go for a walk on the beach after this? And I was like, I actually just have to go to the liquor store and then head home. So
jeez.
Yeah, it was, that was not my best date that I went on. But this is a great time to plug Bumble Date from Home.
Yes.
So
that actually sounds so lit.
I mean, like, we can't go outside now.
Yeah, you can't.
But that doesn't mean that you can't create, like, connections and still, like, actually date people.
Yeah.
And Bumble recently released, like, a video chat and, like, call option on the app, which is honestly really clutch. Like, quarantine or not, like being able to talk to somebody, I would say like video chat is like most prime, but like being able to see somebody, like you see their mannerisms, like that's the thing, is that I went on so many dates where the moment that I got there, I was like, oh no, like I already know, you know, like there isn't that like attraction from just seeing somebody. And like photos are so different, and like texting is so different.
Mannerisms are big for sure.
Yeah, so like you can see somebody's like mannerisms, and like, you know, like you get a sense of whether they're like a very like exuberant person or if they're very reserved, and like that could be huge because like, I mean, everybody's obviously very different, and like I feel like if I was going on a date with somebody that didn't talk a lot, it would be really difficult for me because I'm literally hitting a wall, and like you really can't gauge any of that from like just chatting with somebody. So honestly, I feel like it's great.
It sounds frugal too. Like, think about it. You can do a video chat. You get to know somebody. You're basically like on a date, but then you don't have to. If it's a whack date, you could literally just say, I gotta go, and don't call them back. And you didn't have to spend money on food. You didn't have to waste money on gas or transportation. Like, literally, you just hang up the video chat and that's it. So.
And to be fair, data has shown that on average, the video call and like phone call time is 14 minutes. So it actually that's actually pretty good. Like, I would assume that it would be lower because like maybe people are like, okay, like, no, I don't like this. But I mean, it's also Bumble. I feel like of all the apps, of all the kind of like dating apps out there, Bumble is better at like making meaningful connections. And it's also not just for dating. So like, I feel like what might be really useful for me is like, obviously we're going to be parents very soon, and we have literally no parent friends. We have no parent friends. So like, I've used Bumble BFF before, and if you guys have followed me on Instagram, you guys know I love me Bumble Biz because that is where I met Alan. Shout out Alan. He is our financial advisor. Yeah. And I went on there looking for a financial advisor, which is quite odd. I don't think a lot of people use Bumble Biz for that.
But that was clutch though. He honestly... Yeah. He's dope. He's
amazing. I love Alan. And so we could definitely use this to like video chat and like make friends that are like other parents, and like it would just be great to still have that community because we obviously don't have the luxury of being able to like have all our friends gather during this time, like when we do actually have the baby, but we could still make new friends.
Yeah, sounds amazing, honestly.
And I mean, even over the past week, there's been a 21% increase in Bumble video calls. So I mean, like, that just kind of goes to show like how many people are wanting that connection at a time like this.
Especially
and, like,
now, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And it makes sense because it's like you need to have interactions, and I can't imagine, like, we are in quarantine together. I can't imagine what it would be like to be single and live alone at this time, and like whether or not you were happy or like not happy about being single for this, like this is just like a really difficult time.
Like one of our friends, she'd be putting googly eyes on jars right now.
Yeah, so I mean, if that's you, I mean, I would definitely recommend download Bumble and test out this video chat thing. Give Date From Home a try, even if you're not single and you're in a relationship, but you want to test out BFF or Biz. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I've been using Bumble for a long time. It is amazing. And also, I should note that with the video call, so everybody knows that like Bumble, women make the first move. So with the video call, that can count as the first move, and guys can only call you after you've made the first move. So like, it's not like you match and then they can just start calling you. So it's all of the make the first move rules are still in place.
Nice. You can really get to know somebody before actually like meeting up with them, which seems really sweet.
I mean, it's like in general, I really like talking on the phone more than I like texting. Like, I actually really don't like texting.
To me, it would feel like high school again.
Yeah.
You know, when you jump on a phone call with your crush and then you just
but then you like talk until you fall asleep.
Yeah, so cute.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, I mean, if you play your cards right, you could come out of quarantine with a boo thing. So like,
get it.
I mean, just because we're not going outside doesn't mean that you need to shut down your
that's
dating
an
life.
Instagram caption too.
Yeah.
Come out of quarantine with a boot thing.
You never know. And I mean, like, that's the thing. You can still have dates. Like, you can, you know, like, drink wine together and, like, whatever. And it's, like, the only thing that's missing is the physical touch, you know?
But, which is nice, too. Because, like, you can let someone in your home and they can basically see, like, your comfortable area without, like, that,
meet
like...
your pets?
Or, yeah, all of that without that, like, pressure of, you know, is this guy just trying to get some... Is he just trying to get in my pants? You don't got to worry about that because you guys are on a video chat. Doesn't, you know?
That's true, yeah. So I mentioned that I looked at some articles about how to know if you're okay with being alone. And I got called out. Okay, this one is just, this is so me when I was like sad and single. There are a lot of articles that say don't chase anyone.
Ooh.
And what did I do? I chased damn near every single boy that I met.
I've had moments like that as well.
It's just, it sounds to me almost so extreme because I'm like anyone? Like, really? Like, what if you really like them, you know? But
I'm sure there's like some situations where it does work, but like for the most part, when you have to chase somebody, it's usually because they don't want to be with you, or it's just not the good time for them. So,
or like when
if
guys
you're wasting all
say,
your energy like chasing somebody, you're gonna miss like a person that's actually interested in you. And if you actually do like get the person that you've been chasing, who knows? Like along the line, there might be some other issues where they're like gonna keep trying to run away. So, I mean, if someone is like actually running away, stop chasing them.
That's the thing is that like you shouldn't ever have to force somebody to be with you, and I don't
100%.
know why it took me so long to learn that.
Because you want to be with somebody you can't.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
want what
I
you
guess.
don't. You want what you can't have.
I guess that's true, because that's the thing is that even when I was single and like I was single and not having sex, and I would like sit there and complain about being single and not having sex, but then like my friends would be like, no, like if you wanted to just have sex, there are lots of people that would be so down to just have sex. And it's like, oh, okay, no, like I actually want to like have sex and be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like I want somebody to love me, you know, like I want somebody to cuddle with. So it's like checking those things and like, what do you really want?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like, yeah, there are just so many times where I would chase guys and I couldn't understand that like if he says, hey, like, I don't want to be with you because I'm probably going to hurt you and I'm a fuckboy, he just laid it out there for you.
Yeah,
like
he showed you he told you who he was. And
exactly. It's
if
like
you fail to listen, that's no one's to blame but yourself.
literally, and that I don't know how many times that's happened to me, but for some reason somebody saying that made me try to chase them even more. And like I didn't understand really until I met you that like you should really be with somebody that really wants to be with you. And like I just honestly didn't think that it was possible to meet somebody that I was attracted to, like enjoyed having conversation with, and also liked me back. Like it was so foreign to me because I was so used to meeting people that were all of these things that I liked, but then wouldn't like me back. Yeah, like they just wouldn't like me back. And I'm like, why? Love me.
Yeah. And then it makes you want it more. But
yeah, that's why now, like, I'll tell all our friends, like, when I see them chasing people, I'm like, girl, stop. Like, no, it should not be this hard. It really, really shouldn't be this hard. But when hard is all you know, like, you can't blame somebody.
Yeah.
Because you can't imagine, like, how easy it should be.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that when you are single and like the people that you don't like are chasing you, that shit would be easy. So that's why you don't want it to be easy. You want it to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to chase women too, and it usually doesn't turn out too well. You're like really like you're infatuated with somebody, so you're like constantly messaging, be like let's hang out, and they keep coming up with some excuses, and then when you hit that really lonely, vulnerable hour, you say some shit you shouldn't have said, and then you really ruin it. But yeah, like if you really need to like work so hard and force it, it's probably not worth it. What is this saying? If it's
broke, don't fix it.
No, there's this thing there's a meme that I saw once like years ago where it was like a relationship is like a fart. If you really gotta force it, it's probably shit.
That seems like a meme.
Yeah, chasing people usually never turns out good.
Okay, but you know what it is? I think that it's because of movies that it teaches you that. Because how many movies is there like kind of a nerdy guy and he doesn't know when to quit? And, like, he keeps pursuing. And then he gets her, and they're, like, so fucking happy. And she's like, oh, my God, like, I'm so hot, but, like, you're kind of nerdy. But I didn't realize, like, how good we'd be together. And it's just, like, movies like that is, like, it's so persistent. And I feel like it usually is the narrative. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting that it's usually... I find myself in a position where I'm chasing people, but the narrative is usually that it's like a guy chasing a girl and okay, see, I'm connecting all the dots now. This is why guys don't like it when girls chase them, is because it's just perceived as thirsty. And I think that's why I was also very stubborn to stop doing that. I was like, no, like if I like somebody, then I'm gonna show them that I like them, and I'm gonna, you know, like be the guy in this narrative. But in most of my situations, I feel like I was just perceived as thirsty. But I'm like, why is it thirsty when you're literally doing the same thing? You know, like, it's such a double standard.
thirst is basically desperation. It's like when someone is just so desperate for it. And I think that is a turnoff for a lot of people, regardless of being a guy or a girl. And I think that's where it comes
so then what is the difference between, like, chasing somebody and also being like, hey, I really like... Well, I guess the difference would be the other person says, no, I don't like you, stop chasing me.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too. Like, if we talk about, like chasing, are you chasing out of desperation? Like, are you chasing because you desperately want someone and you think you can see that in that other person, so you're chasing them? But people can sense desperation. Like, people can sense when you're desperate. And that's the thing, like, when, like you said, when you find yourself... Yeah, but that's like you said, when you find yourself and you're really happy being single, that's when you find somebody easier because you're not actually desperate to be in a relationship. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So, like, when you're finally comfortable with being single, that person that maybe you've been chasing for a while could just, like, casually come up. Or somebody. But then
that's also, like, people wanting what they can't have. I feel like what it really comes down to is enjoying the chase. That's probably the one thing about dating that I did kind of really miss, is the chase. It's, like, fun. It's thrilling. It's, like, it's not...
To be the chasee or to be chased?
Honestly, I don't know. Kind of both.
Kind of both,
Kind of both. Because, like, I almost started looking at it like a challenge. And that's the thing, is that did I actually really like these people? Did I actually want to be with them? Like,
and that's what I meant by what I was saying.
Yeah, like, I just remembered this is a guy that he actually was, like, ends up being, like, one of my really, really, really good guy friends. And I just have, like, a very common theme in my life where I will hook up with guys, like them, and then they're like, no. And I'm like, hey, but, like, let's be friends. And then we become really good friends. Nice. But essentially, I chased him for so long. And for some reason, I just, like, really couldn't let it go. Because, like, I was like, yeah, like, we would be so great together. Like, all of these things. We get along really well. And I just, like, for some reason couldn't shut that off in my brain. And then it got to a point where he actually sat me down and was like, genuinely, if I told you today, hey, Nina, like, I love you, let's do this thing, would you actually want to do it? And I thought about it and I was like, no, like, I actually really don't. Like, I didn't realize what I was chasing for so long, you know, because, like, I think it was that is part of that conquest. It was part of, like, I'm gonna make you like me back, that I didn't even really sit down to think, would we be a really happy couple, you know? Like, and I think that's the thing, is that when we are chasing things, like, when people chase marriage just because it's marriage, you know, like,
it doesn't even matter about the person.
It doesn't matter about the person. It's all these things you associate with it. So then this leads into another point in the articles that I was reading, is that you don't have to think of every person that you meet as a potential partner. And this was huge for me. Like, I feel like we talked about this in, like, our previous, like, cheating episodes and stuff. But I literally would meet, like, any guy that I'm attracted to and then automatically be like, wow, what would we be like together? And it's not even like, hey, like, we have a really great friendship, you know? Like, and so many people that I chased or that I wanted to be my boyfriend, 110% could have just been left as friends, and we have an amazing friendship. So, like, I feel like that's another thing, too, is when you just, like, perceive whoever it is that you're attracted to as just, like, everyone's an option. And, like, not everyone has to be an option. And I feel like if you're really secure in, like, being single and, like, you know, like, being okay with being yourself, then it's, like, that won't happen.
Yeah, you should just be able to, like, recognize when, like, oh, this would be a good friend, or, like, this would be just a good acquaintance for
like
this time.
Like, a connection is a connection, and it doesn't have to be sexual, it doesn't have to be romantic.
Or if you receive a compliment is just a compliment. Don't take it like, oh, I think he loves me.
Oh my god, yeah. So I feel like I already know the answer to this before I ask you, but because you were always single and, like, hooking up with people, did you ever feel like if you went out and you were, like, trying to hook up with somebody and nobody paid attention to you that night, like, you didn't go home with anybody, like, did you ever feel like that was a waste of time? Or, like, that you were unhappy?
Like, that's when I go out to a night with expectations. So, like, say I go with my friend, I'm like, I expect that, like, we hook up with a girl tonight. You know what I mean? And then it's kind of, you get kind of butthurt when you come home with nothing. You know what I mean? Like, where it's just like, oh, we talked to a bunch of girls and none of them really were interested or wanted to, like,
but then would it be like, oh, well, like, that was, like, a waste of a night? Or is it, like, you still managed to have a good time?
There's some nights. There's that, like, not every night. Like, there's a lot of nights where, like, I'm just gonna go out and have fun. I don't care. Like, and I'll hit on a few girls, and whatever happens, if they don't like me or whatever, it's their loss or whatever. I just don't care. But there are definitely some nights where you're just like, you get a little depressed, you get a little lonely, and
you just go to sleep crying. I mean, but that's the thing, is that, like, for me, I feel like I always manage to go out and, like, have a really great time, whether or not somebody hits on me. I feel like the thing is, if you're feeling extra cute, like, you're really feeling your outfit, like, you really did your makeup that day, then, like, if nobody hits on you, you're kind of like, really? Like, really, though? Like, all of this? I never really let it bother me that much.
That's good.
But I definitely had friends that... And this was very annoying for me. Like, I had friends where we would go out, and if somebody didn't hit on her, then, like, it was a night wasted. And it was like, what are we even doing here? Let's just go home. I don't want to be here. And, like, that was very frustrating to me, because I was like, how is that the only way that you can have fun? You know, like, it's like, you don't need attention from other people. You don't need validation from other people. And I know that I literally just said that I wanted somebody to validate that I did my makeup really well and I look cute that day. But that's, like, if I don't have it, then it's like, I still know that for myself. Because I feel like it was really hard for me to, like, enjoy going out with this person over a period of time, because it's just like, every single time that we go out, if a guy doesn't hit on you, then, like, we're not having a good time. You're just moping the whole time. And, like, that's not fun. You know, like, the best part about being single is, like, going out with your friends and just doing fuck shit.
Yeah, at the end of the day, just realize, like, you still got your homies. You still have your friends, which is nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like what I said too, like, when I did have those nights of coming home, like, feeling like that, at the end of the day, I don't feel like it was a waste, because I still had an amazing time with my friend. But, like, I think the feeling of sadness is because you had a goal to do that. So, like, if it's like, yeah, I really think, like, if we go out tonight, we look good, we're gonna get girls, like, it's gonna happen. And then when you don't, you get that feeling of, like, we failed, or, like, and then, you know what I mean? And then that's, like, kind of, like, ruins it. But that's just it's just when you put that expectation on it. And I think if you go out and you just don't have an expectation, that goes for almost anything in life. If you don't have an expectation for it, and you just focus on having a good time, that's all that really matters. And you usually don't end up going home or away from the situation feeling, like, empty or anything. So
okay, so then let me ask you, how do you deal with feeling lonely when you're single? And I already know you so well that I can anticipate what you're gonna say. And then if you lie to me, then I'm going to tell you exactly how you dealt with it.
Probably scrolling through the internet and then sliding in a few DMs.
That's the thing, is I feel like you never allowed yourself to be alone. And, like, that's the thing, is that you were single for 2 years, and you, like, constantly dated and hooked up with people, and you never really allowed yourself to be alone. And then now, when we're in a relationship, if I'm ever away, like, if I'm working and traveling and stuff, then Dayon immediately hits up everybody and fills every single day with a new person. And I'm like, bro, that's, like, me. All this stuff needs to get done, and nothing is done because Dayon just can't be alone.
Social butterfly.
So, I mean, like, this one, one I feel like I can't really ask you to give advice to people, because
that's the thing. I still don't really, like, know how to be fully alone. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't need to be in a relationship, but I just don't like being alone. Like, I think I still need friends. It's just, like, I want to go out and, like, have a beer with a friend or something.
But then I guess that's the thing, is that's nice, is that's how you combat loneliness. Is because, I mean, you do fill every single night with, like, a different sex appointment, but during the day you're hanging out with friends, and then that allows you to not feel lonely.
It's hard for me. I don't know, is it a Pisces thing? Y'all let me know. But it's hard for me to be alone. Like, I feel like I need to fill in.
But that's the thing, is that, okay,
because I'm not the dude that could just pick up a book and, like, be amused by a book or something. And it was more like I need human interaction, and I need to, like, talk to somebody, see somebody. So, I mean, even going back to, like, because of the social distancing now, like, jumping on a video chat with somebody would be amazing. Or if you have, like, friends and family at home, to, like, talk with them and just, like, be, like, vulnerable and that's just a part of me. I feel like I need to be able to, like, express myself to somebody constantly. So when there is nobody to, like, express myself to, I feel alone. And I feel like if I was on a deserted island, I'd probably find a volleyball and call it my homie Wilson and start talking to him, because I just need somebody to talk to no matter what. Make an inanimate object my friend, you know?
Well, I mean, okay, so for me, obviously it's a very different experience. And I definitely went through times where I felt very lonely. And I think like my biggest drought was probably like anywhere from like 6 to 8 months where like I wasn't hooking up with, like, that's not just sex, like I just wasn't like hooking up with anyone. And I think it's like it's an adjustment, especially if you've been seeing a lot of people. And this is the thing, throughout my entire college experience, there's this one guy that I hooked up with on and off for essentially like 3.5 years, which is like the longest kind of relationship that I had. And it was
just like hookups.
Yeah, we would like just have sex. So like we weren't dating, we never dated, and we just had sex, and it was always on and off. So like the periods in between would be like maybe like a couple months, and like 6 months was one of them. But I feel like I went through a phase where I was like, yeah, this is great, this is fine, but it was also so safe that I felt like I wasn't allowing myself to meet other people. You know, like, because I was always in the back of my head, like, oh, well, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I could just go have sex with him, so, like, it's fine. You know, like, I don't really have to try to, like, meet other people or whatever. Like, it was such a safety net for me. And, like, when I did stop, like, hooking up with him and I went through those 6 months, I definitely felt really alone. And, like, I think that was when I was still conflating, like, being single with being lonely. And yeah, I guess like the best way for me to deal with it was to, one, pour my energy into my other relationships. But I mean, unlike you, I really enjoyed spending time by myself. Like, I didn't realize.
What would you do when you're alone?
When I was single, I would take myself out to, like, I would treat myself all the time.
Fancy?
Yeah,
Fancy
like
food?
Like, I mean, it was like sushi, and it would be like, you know, I was working at a really nice restaurant at the time, so like I would like eat there, and like I just like constantly treated myself, and I would take myself on the dates that I would want to go on, essentially. And like I feel like that made it,
to me, that would make me sad.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that it's so different, but I think you have to...
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that I feel like I could preach this all day long, and I used to be at a place where I'm like, everyone needs to feel this way. Like, everyone that's single should eventually be at a place where they can spend time alone and enjoy it, and like, all these articles that you read too, like, that's what they tell you to do. But I'm also like, now thinking about your experience, like, is it so wrong to like spend your time with your friends and things like that and like hook up with people while you're single constantly? You know, like, I can't say that your experience... I don't think
there's anything wrong with it. I think it just comes down to like the type of person you are.
Yeah, like, I think for me, like, I really, really enjoyed being alone. And like, sometimes I try to force you to like, just be alone, just sit with your thoughts, like, what are you thinking about, you know, like, and it's like, I don't think that you get any type of enjoyment out of it. And it's like, if you kept doing it, will you? Maybe. But maybe not. And like, who really knows, you know? But anyways, for me, what really worked was like taking myself out on like really nice dates. And weirdly enough, I mean, during this time, I like masturbated a lot.
Literally loving yourself.
Yeah, literally. So I mean, if you're not masturbating, I would say that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
With starting to feel comfortable and like loving being single. Masturbation is great. I mean, it's so different from this is a whole other podcast topic, but it's very different from sex. Like, the stimulation is very different. I obviously like have like for quite a while, but I wasn't doing it like every single night. And when I was single, I was doing it every single night, and it was fucking amazing. And it's like, I loved like going to sleep alone, like in my like queen size bed, and like I had all this space, and like I feel like tapping into that side of me also really helped me, because like I also like looked my best, and I also like cared more about like just appearances in general, which is like a good and bad thing, because right now, like, being in a very comfortable relationship, I really give zero fucks about what I look like, and like kind of taking care of myself. So it's almost like when I was single, that was like the best version of me, and it wasn't stemming from insecurity, it was stemming from like, let's be the best version of you, you know, like physically, mentally, emotionally. And like, now that we're in a relationship, I feel like there's so many things that I think about, just like in terms of like work, finances, like us being together, like now us having a baby, like it's just so much that you don't have all that time and energy to just focus on yourself and what you want. So like, I mean, going all the way back to the first question that you asked me, like, I think if there was anything that I really missed about being single, it was the time that I put into being the best version of myself. And that isn't to say that I can't do that in a relationship. I just find it a lot more difficult in a relationship to do that, because you're constantly kind of surrounded by another person, and it's just like, being in a relationship is a whole other set of problems. And I feel like a lot of people, especially when you're young, you're fed that like, getting a boyfriend is gonna fix everything, you know, you're gonna be happy once you get a boyfriend. But like, it's really not like that. All it does is introduce a new set of problems that you have to like conquer and tackle. But I feel like all of this to say that, like, not everyone has to love being single. I feel like now with, like, the wave of, like, self-care and self-love, like, all these things, like, everyone is saying that, like, being single is amazing. And it's probably because being single is amazing. But for the people out there that find it very lonely, that find that they get jealous of, like, their friends that are in companionship, like, I can't really speak to that because obviously we're in a relationship and we kind of plan on being one until we're quite old. But, like, I don't know what it's like to be, like, in your late 20s, 30s, 40s and single. You know, like, I have no idea what that experience is like.
That's a different ballgame.
Yeah, like, I think, like, at the end of the day, like, those emotions are going to come up. Like, jealousy, feeling stressed, like, feeling like maybe, like, people have moved on and maybe you're in the same place. Like, I think all those things are natural. But at the end of the day, like, being single doesn't have to mean that you're lonely. Being single doesn't have to affect, like, your self-worth or that, like, nobody loves you, nobody will ever love you. Like, I mean, those things to me are just, like, so dramatic. And, like, we were watching Teen Mom the other day, and these girls are literally, like, 17, 18, and they're crying because they will never meet anybody else that ever understands in that way or ever loves in that way. And it's really, I look back at it now and I know that was me at that age, but I'm just like, it's so ridiculous because of course you're gonna meet people
100%.
you know. And, like, obviously, like, you can feel, like, anxiety about being single and, like, those things, I think those emotions will always come in waves. And even if you get to a place where you love it, you know, there might be times where you don't love it, and this might be one of those times because this whole quarantine pandemic thing is, like, really unprecedented. So, I mean, who knows, you know, like, you can feel any type of way about anything right now and anything goes. But, like, I feel like at the end of the day, it's more just about acknowledging what can be great about being single and then also, like, taking that with what's, like, not great, because it's the same with a relationship. There's so many things that are great about being in a relationship and there's so many things that fucking sucks about it, you know. Yeah. And, like, that we, like, for me, like, the biggest thing is learning how to be myself in a relationship, and that is so hard and I'm still trying to figure it out. And, like, that for me is a huge challenge. And, like, was it easier when I was single? 110%.
Because, like, at the end of the day, like, we've went through a lot of times being single and finding ourselves that when we do have times where we are apart, we don't feel completely lost. Like, we still have ourselves and we're still, like, you know, able to
you need
make
to
ourselves
be your
happy,
own person,
you know what I mean?
before you
Yeah.
enter a relationship.
There's been situations where you're single and you're hoping that, like, when you find someone, like, they're gonna make you happy, and
They're
a lot
gonna
of times,
complete you.
yeah, they're gonna complete you. But then you find that it doesn't actually come down to that. It comes down to, like, yourself and finding, like, how to make yourself complete. Because yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's all within yourself. Like, when I stopped worrying about getting compliments over, like, an outfit, that's
don't even lie, you still stress about getting compliments over an outfit.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't as bad as when I was younger.
Oh God, I can't imagine it
was
being worse.
Yeah,
you
but,
guys
like,
have no idea how much Dan hounds me about complimenting him.
Dude, I was the type too, like, where if I, like, posted a photo on Instagram and it didn't get enough likes, I would delete it. If I had an outfit that I really liked and someone didn't compliment it, I'd be, like, unsure if it's actually a dope fit, you know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, but then I slowly started to grow, and I knew that, like, this is sick to me and I love this outfit or I love, like, this post, and it didn't matter if I didn't get that, like, approval. What I'm saying, like, overall, I was a lot happier when I didn't have those feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like, where I didn't have, like, that like, I really want someone to compliment me on this. You know what I mean? Like, it still has an impact on me, but it doesn't have, like, that much of an impact.
Well, like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's, like, seeking external validation, you know, and, like, that's the same thing as trying to find somebody to be your happiness. And that actually reminds me of when I was single, and I remember reading in a book, and it's saying that you can't rely on another person for your happiness. And I don't know why that was something that I really needed to hear, but you are the only person that's responsible for your happiness, you know? And, like, if you expect another person to complete you, make you happy, all of those things, like, you're gonna be so sorely disappointed because somebody will, like, anybody, it doesn't matter if it's your dream person, anybody that you're putting that much on is gonna disappoint you. Like, there's just no way. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and make sure that you download Bumble so you can date from home after you work from home. See what I did there? No, not really.
Good connection.
But you can follow us on IG at Neens Deens, and I am at Your Girl Neens.
And I'm Dale's Day Off.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.